All right, we are live. Look at that. Okay, my
Yeah.
friend, we did it.
Hello.
We have the amazing background here of fire extinguisher. Yeah, not a I think was that the word distinguisher? That would be a very different thing. Extinguisher.
Yeah, extinguish. Right.
It distinguishes the fires. It paints them different colors so they burn differently. No, okay, wait. There we go. Gotta see your name badge. There you go. We're joined today. Joined today live from Barcelona, Spain, which is again
Awesome
paradise.
Awesome place and awesome timing.
You wouldn't think we're in a dark. You wouldn't know we're not actually in a dark dungeon right now, but we are. We're just in the closeted area behind the scenes.
That's by design. Right now.
Hey friend, we're gonna be doing a live stream, so just go that way. Yeah, sorry. We'll put the camera that way. There we go. So, we're live. I'm joined by an old friend, long time. You're still in Estonia?
Yes, I am.
Based out of Estonia, longtime friend, Anton Arhipov.
Arhipov, yes, correct.
Yeah.
That's the best way you could pronounce it.
Okay, I did it. It was by accident, but I did it. Yeah, I mean, I've known you for forever. You were not always at. I mean, when did I first? You were at Zero Turnaround, right?
I was at Zero Turnaround. Probably we met maybe 10, 12, 14 years ago. It's like
been a long time. Yeah, forever. You poor guy. Poor guy.
Yeah.
He deserved better friends. Yeah. So anyway, we're joined by Anton Arhipov from the JetBrains advocacy team. You're a developer advocate over at JetBrains. I don't know. I think people are probably using them. They know a thing or two about it, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
I'm a fan. I don't know if you noticed, but I use it on my whenever I can. It's done well for me. So you're here at Spring IO. We're in Barcelona. It's 2023. What are you talking about?
I just had a talk half an hour ago. I finished it about IntelliJ debugger features.
Nice.
So like debugging Java applications, including Spring applications.
Right. There are bugs in Spring applications?
No, we don't make bugs. So we just develop features.
Right. Okay.
But I think debugging is not the thing that you should be aiming at. Like,
right.
You should write applications, write your code, develop tests, and then you don't need the debugger because you will not have bugs. But once in a while, you have to cope with the legacy code.
Right.
And then trying to make sense of the application might not be that easy if you just stare at the code. And even staring doesn't help. Even if it's a small application, it might behave differently than when you look at the source code.
Right.
It might execute something else because there's dynamics, right? There are proxies, there is instrumentation, there are...
You can load new classes into the class loader after the program is started up. Right. Yeah, totally.
So reflections.
Reflection, yeah.
Yeah, so like probably you see that there is a code that the editor shows you that it's not used anywhere. You do find usages, it doesn't show you that it's being used, but then you execute the code and you see there is an effect that some method prints out something, for instance, right? But you are pretty sure that it's not used anywhere. With the debugger, you can intercept. When the application is running, you can intercept that place and find that culprit who is actually invoking your method through reflection, for instance.
Oh, because you can pause the call stack, right? You can see who called the thing.
You can navigate the stack and see, that's the place.
Amazing. I've done that a million times, right? Like it's super useful. Okay, well that's cool.
And we recently added some cool features. It's in the AAP, not in the release version right now.
Right.
So last week we released a new AAP of IntelliJ IDEA with support for reactive programming. For Project Reactor, we have Flux and Mono rendering in the watches.
So you can follow the stacks as well. Is that using the vector dev tools behind the scenes or separate thing?
I think it has hooks, like in the configuration in the settings. There are options that you can enable for debugging, like that make the call into the reactor, like using the tools. But the cool part is that in the watches view, you can actually render some of the things. I was using your demo.
Oh no!
Using your demo of the reactor, like reactive web flux application, like with the repository, with the customer repository.
Right.
And when you make a call to a service, and like you inspect, there is a service, there is the repository. You inspect the repository and shows you by default a JDK proxy. And you cannot figure out what values it will return. But in the watches view, you now can add a new watch, a new expression, service.repository.find all,
Right.
and see
The results live.
and see the results live. And in the stack trace, you will see the annotated, like Flux flat map,
Right.
Flux. I don't know what operators you can come up with, right?
Right.
They will be annotated. You'll immediately be able to see the parts of the stack trace annotated by these annotations, like indicating really that this is the Reactor API in the library code and also in your code as well. So that you will be able to trace your pipeline.
This is a dream. I mean, because that's the thing people complain about is it's just hard to debug reactive code. It's not if you know what you're doing. There's tools, but just to have it integrated in the main view that all people are expecting to look at. Because if you know what you're doing means you have to know how to look at the reactor tools and things like that. It's still not easy. You know, it just be if it was just built into the thing that we're doing, it'd be great, right?
Yeah, and it's a new feature. It's a new feature. It's in the AAP. So folks, you have to try it and let us know how it works for you.
Right.
But it's not only that. Even the features that we have in the IntelliJ for years, apparently people don't really know about them because they're well hidden. They're well hidden in some configuration dialogues and so on. For instance, did you know that you can configure a breakpoint not to suspend? So you set a breakpoint,
but just to log something or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So it's like debugging with print lines.
But now you know exactly what it's going to
And you can change the behavior as well. For instance, you set a breakpoint, like set it non-suspending, put some evaluation expression to evaluate and log.
Right.
And for instance, set some instance field to null.
Oh, wow.
Because some condition needs to be met
Oh,
when
but you
you
said
when
that-
you call a new instance, for instance.
You can set the field to be null in the breakpoint?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then set some other breakpoint and make it dependent on the first one.
Wait, so you can actually just evaluate any Java code basically, right? Like
Yeah.
you could say
Java and
I
Kotlin.
can have Sweden print out a dialogue or show up a dialogue or something. Not that you should, but yeah.
And not only that, you can, like in the debugger, it's not like actually a debugger feature, it's actually a runtime feature.
Right.
When you can update the application, like add new statements, new invocations in your code,
Right.
recompile the class, and then the debugger is that trigger for you. It will ask you, hey, you have new bytes on your file system. Do you want them to be in the runtime? You say, yes, I confirm.
Right.
It sends the bytes right there. And if you didn't change too much, it will update the running application with a new behavior. For instance, you had a new login statement,
Right.
or you didn't want some method to invoke. Or even if you don't do that, you can force some behavior in the debugger. For instance, you get into some library method, you don't
Right.
know how it works, but you need some specific value out of it as a return value. Force return and return the value like to the previous frame, so that you can force the behavior of some library of
Right.
some external API in your application without changing the code.
Wow. Okay. So this all is that already in IntelliJ? Is that
It has been there forever.
okay? So this is just a talk to remind people of all the cool stuff.
Yes,
That's
yes,
cool, right?
Yeah, I actually attended the session. I learned a lot.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
he just did a presentation.
Yeah.
That is what people should go watch for the full skinny on what's happening here.
Yeah, I,
That'd be
I hope
recorded.
I hope the recording will be up soon. So
Yeah.
please check that out. And
Not too.
a lot of features that I showed today, 99% has been there for ages, and
Ages,
yeah, people just don't like use them. I'm not forcing people to debug their applications. As I said, just write tests, but sometimes you are forced to analyze what this application is doing, and you have to spend
The
time.
really great thing you showed, in my opinion, was the concurrency stuff.
Yeah,
Wow.
debugging the concurrent bugs.
That's so hard. And sometimes the debugger causes the lock. It causes you to have different behavior, so you can't even see the issue.
What I showed was that in a breakpoint, you have a setting to suspend only the thread that hits the breakpoint, not all the threads. So what I was showing is that from multiple threads, you're going to be adding, let's say, a value into a list,
Yeah.
the same value. And let's say you have a condition that if this value exists, please don't add it again, right? And we have an assertion that if the size is 2 or if the size is 1, then it passes. So the requirement is that the size of the list should be 1. And we ended up with a size of 2 because from the different threads, we added the same value.
Right.
And the assumption was that since we are using the synchronized list, this is not going to happen. But apparently, that's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
And actually, if you run this test just once, it's gonna pass. It's gonna
Sure.
pass. It will be fine because it's a concurrency issue. To this fail to this test to fail, you have to execute it many times. And in IntelliJ, we have a feature:
Yeah.
run the test until it fails. So it's gonna
Oh, for
be
flaky tests.
Yeah.
This happens all the time. I love test containers, but it is now a new moving part. And sometimes, those containers get a little,
not
need
predictable.
I mean, software, right? It's the world.
It's the software.
But when you start up a whole operating system and a piece of infrastructure just to run a test, don't be surprised if one little bit goes the wrong way or something.
Sometimes, yeah, so like it has.
Or
So
network issues,
in
entropy.
IntelliJ, so we have this runner that can continuously run your test until it fails. And that concurrency bug can be discovered. So sometimes at the session, I was lucky. I executed the test and it failed in 500 iterations.
Yeah.
I was lucky to fail the
Yes.
test. And sometimes at
find
home,
yourself saying,
when I was making this demo, like sometimes it took me a while. I had to wait for 10 minutes for the test to fail. So it actually failed. So there is a probability
wow.
that it can fail. But with emulating this behavior in the debugger,
Right.
like step by step in different threads, I was able immediately to fail this test.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I'm sad that you failed the test, but you're also able to fix
Yeah,
it.
we were able to fix it, right?
Wow, I love that.
Josh, I just have to ask.
Well-
can I take the selfie with you?
Sure. We're going to finish this live stream.
Ah, sorry.
No
sorry.
A few minutes.
Give us a few minutes. Get one with the two of us. This is one of my heroes right here. This guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we were just talking in the beginning of the stream. We are talking about how we've been friends for like at least a decade, maybe more, right? Just a long time. I learned from him. Okay, so debugging, huge thing. I make jokes, but I work on the framework stuff. I work in low level stuff as well as consumer apps.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tricky stuff happening in the low levels of a given framework, and you need a
Right.
debugger. Don't pretend you don't, right? The
Yeah.
benefit is that we do all that work so that hopefully at the higher levels you can avoid a lot of that, right?
Right. If you're an application developer, you write your business logic. I think if you do things right, you don't need the debugger that much.
Right.
But once you need it, you better be productive with it. So like quickly solve your problem and get away from it.
Right. I love it. Are you on the internet?
I am.
Are you on the Twitters or something?
Yeah.
Or
My Twitter handle, Anton Arhipov.
okay, so I'm gonna paste that right here. Let's see, HTTPS twitter.com
Slash.
ANTON ARHIPOV,
Yes.
like
correct.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, paste that right there. Come on, follow this human being. Are you on the Mastodon, by the way? I'm always asking in case the bird site burns down.
I am, but I'm not using it.
Yeah, me too. I
Couldn't,
mean, I'm trying. It's just not
I
great.
couldn't make myself like to check twice stuff, and
Yeah.
maybe one day I will be more active there. But yeah, you can find me on Mastodon on the same handle. So that's it.
Find him there if you have questions, because you missed your chance. He was here right now, live. We got him.
Here,
Sit down
here in
live.
Barcelona.
Live in person. We got to, and I don't think we got to hang out really since before the pandemic. So it's really great to see him.
Oh yeah. It's like when you start thinking how many years passed since you last seen the person. It's like
It's too much.
3 years, 4 years,
At least 3
5
years. Blows my mind. Do you want to be on the live stream for a minute? We'll do the selfie that way.
Yeah, sure.
But you're gonna be on YouTube. You know that, and you're gonna be on
YouTube superstar.
You're gonna be on lots of different like YouTube and Twitch and everything. You're okay with that? Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay. We got a new guest in the show. Come on in. Hi. Okay. Let's take the selfie.
Yeah.
Here we go. Whoa.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Good to see you. And
Thanks for really.
he's doing. Don't leave the guy here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Have a good lunch. Okay, my friends. Thanks for hanging out. If you have more questions, find them on the Twitter or hit me up and I'll just relay
And
them.
don't forget to subscribe to this channel right here.
Click the
right
button.
here. Click the button, but wherever it's below the screen.
Oh yeah. Wait. What about the YouTube channel? You've got a great YouTube channel on the JetBrains side.
Yeah, I have youtube.com/Kotlin because
that's-
I'm a Kotlin developer advocate actually.
Technical. Oh, so you're just doing a talk about IntelliJ just for the. Why not? Because Kotlin doesn't have bugs. So you're like,
Like at JetBrains, we are assigned to the teams and I'm
Right.
assigned to Kotlin team. But I do a lot on IntelliJ. Sometimes I do stuff on TeamCity. Whatever it takes. We are in the same company, so
love it. I
We
love
have
it.
we have to help the users from the user perception.
Oh, I think
I'm a JetBrains.
Yeah.
I say
Of course. Hey, I think no, I was just thinking about it. We probably saw each other at Kotlin Conf a few weeks ago, or like a month ago. Whatever.
yes.
Okay, so
That was very fast.
that felt like a million years ago already, because I've been to like India
There
and
has
six other
been,
countries.
there has been so many new faces, so many old faces, old friends. It was like we were running
Oh, just
over
1,000 miles an hour. Did you?
Right.
What do you think? I mean, this was not what I intended to talk to you about, but what do you think of the WebAssembly stuff in Kotlin?
Oh, that's very interesting. I would say that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But my personal view on the WebAssembly, it has been the WebAssembly itself
Right.
has been there for many years.
Sure.
Why, if it's so cool and if it's so promising, why we are not using WebAssembly already today?
Because there was no garbage collection for most languages yet.
We have Rust.
Well, people are using it there. It's just that it's
Yeah.
a very
But
Yeah.
my personal opinion is that it has been there, but it hasn't been diverse enough
right. Okay.
to actually prove useful. Like for the Kotlin and Java and
Yeah.
this kind of languages, especially with garbage collection, are very nice languages for application development.
Right.
And Rust is a system level programming language.
True.
So if I want to fluently just get my shit done, process some data,
Language.
sorry,
Anyway,
then application language is better.
I agree, and I think that's going to be the next few years is seeing Kotlin make that move.
Hope so.
There's some hope that GraalVM native images will support WebAssembly in the future. There was that cool blog from a few months
Right.
ago where they talked about RISC-V support, and then they buried the lead at the bottom. They said this also might pave the way for some of the work to do WebAssembly. Hint, hint, question mark. You know, like it was not a confirmation of anything, but it was sort of maybe. You know,
Those
like
like new visionary stuff.
Yeah.
And see a lot of interesting stuff in there. But
Right.
this is not something you do
Not
today,
today.
and tomorrow.
No.
But maybe in some years.
and Kotlin's leading the way as always.
Yeah,
I love it.
Kotlin is doing stuff there. Yeah, it's amazing. In WebAssembly, we need some features
Yep.
to actually implement this, and currently the team is working, on the collaboration to implement those features in
I know.
WebAssembly. So it's a cool, exciting stuff, and we're gonna wait when it comes.
So check out his Twitter and the JetBrains or Kotlin YouTube channels. Oh, hey,
Right.
great question. Oh, no, not a question. Just some love from the community.
Yeah.
Great work. The new IntelliJ UI looks amazing.
Oh, are you using the new
Of
IntelliJ?
course. And people think I'm using a different ID. I'm like, no, I'm not even using Fleet yet. I can't wait for that too, by the way. I'm just using the regular UI, new UI in my IntelliJ.
Right. I'm using it too now, but it took me quite a
Oh, yeah.
while to get used to it. So I was switching it on and off all
Yeah.
the time because, actually, in my setup, it doesn't even matter. I don't have tabs. I don't have menus. I only have the editor and some menus popping up. But still, I was going back to the old UI
You know what helped me?
because I used it for 20 years.
Yeah, me too. And I loved it. But although even there, it's been slowly. If you saw screenshots of IntelliJ from like 20 years ago, it was a crayon box. All the icons were colorful and
We have
glossy.
save button,
Yeah.
copy and paste button
Yeah.
there. Like
There's
if you
so
check the old why.
But
Right.
what gets me is when I discovered the Command Shift A, right? The Omni Uber
Yeah. Finding the action.
finding everything, right? Like
Yeah.
the find all, right? Find action, find type, find class, the one command bar. So even if I don't know you've maybe seen me on the computer. I know most of the keyboards I need to know by
Yeah.
heart, but even the ones I don't, I know how to do that. I know
Right.
Command Shift A. So when I moved to the new UI, I'm like, I feel very disoriented, but I don't know why I feel like that. It's not like I ever use the menus, And then I realized the key commands are exactly the same. That's all that mattered to me. And it is nice for presentation. Like before, presentation mode made things look very clean, but now
Yeah.
it's already very clean.
It's already very clean.
It's just
yeah.
nice because of the new UI. I love it. I love IntelliJ. I
Sure.
love your team. I love what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Let's go get lunch. They have
Yes.
good food here.
Num 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 num.